I am 34 years old and a woman. I am currently going through the process of divorce. My husband is 33 years old. Despite our divorce, we maintain a good relationship and continue to live together in my home. This house was purchased by me before our marriage and registered in my name. According to the laws of my country, my husband has no rights to it. My husband has not yet moved out of the house due to his financial difficulties, which is fine with me. He has recently started a new job and plans to move in a month or two. My mother-in-law is a rather unpleasant person. We have never really gotten along. She has always treated me with antipathy. Last month, she called me on my birthday to tell me she was glad she no longer considered me part of the family and didn't have to buy me gifts. Recently, after learning of our divorce, she called me since my ex was at work and couldn't answer. She said she was coming to our town for a medical procedure and planned to stay with us for 2 days. She doesn't drive and couldn't get home right after the procedure. She wanted to spend the night and take a bus the next day. I turned her down, explaining that the house belongs to me and that I do not wish to have unwanted guests in it. Neither she nor my ex could afford a hotel, and he couldn't drive her back because of commitments at her new job. My ex is very angry with me. He feels that I should not take my frustration out on his mother. However, I feel that I don't have to tolerate her presence in my home. We are no longer a family, and I'm not going to take it any further. You're not an idiot. Your former mother-in-law has made her attitude clear by claiming that you are no longer part of her family. Therefore, she has no right to demand anything from you. It seems that your soon-to-be ex-husband failed to protect you well enough during your marriage, since his mother felt free enough to call you on your birthday and be rude. The problems with his mother are their problems with him, not yours. If he's angry about it, offer to let him leave early. There is nothing stopping him from doing that if he is so upset with his mother. Now that you are separated, he is now a guest in your home and has no right to invite anyone over without your permission. If he does let her in, his stuff will be outside within the hour. It's his choice. He can be polite and grateful for your kindness and generosity or leave as soon as possible. You're not a charity organization for people looking for a free place to stay who are willing to disturb your peace. If he wants his mother to stay with him, let him get his own place. You don't have to put up with his family squabbles anymore. If he's upset, that's his problem, not yours. Next story. I, a woman in my 30s, have been married to my husband of 34 years for 6 years. We are raising twins, a boy and a girl, who are now in their teens. Early in our dating and subsequent marriage, we sought help from a marriage and family therapist. I immediately expressed my position. I was not seeking to replace their mother. Their birth mother had been absent from their lives since they were 8 years old. The last 6 years have gone well. They even started calling me mom at the age of 12 or 13. Recently, however, their birth mother returned, and the children were very happy about it. Things went well for about 6 months, but then they started referring to me by my first name, which became offensive to me, even though they chose to do so. Lately, the kids have started acting disrespectful, not following curfew, not cleaning up after themselves, and claiming that I'm not their real mom and that I'm the reason their mom left, even though I'm not. I met their father almost a year and a half after she left. 3 weeks ago, there was a major conflict. My stepson called me a witch. I took his phone away from him and sent him to his room until his dad returned, but he ran to his mom. This led to a big argument where she tried to hit me and I pushed her out of the house. My stepdaughter warned me that if I ever touched her mom again, she would punish me. After that incident, they both went to their mother's house and I became less involved in their lives. I used to take them to sports and other activities, but now I won't. I offered to have their mom wake them up and take them where they needed to go, including school, which made them late several times. The kids were starting spring break this week, but I decided to cancel everything. I warned my children and husband about it. However, they didn't seem to believe me. The plan was to take a trip on Thursday night. When I didn't start my vacation preparations, they were flabbergasted. They accused me of being jealous of their mom's return to their lives and called me a horrible person and selfish. At this point, my husband remained silent. I asked him if he was going to intervene, to which he replied that I had done the wrong thing by canceling the plans. I left and stayed at the hotel. My husband wouldn't stop calling me, begging me to come back. Yesterday, he informed me that their mother had disappeared again. The kids called me crying and apologizing. I don't want to go on with this anymore. I don't feel like I am part of their family. They can't just cry and come back when their mother disappears. I told my husband I want a divorce. I will be back this week to get my stuff. We have nothing to talk about. Yes, I know their mother manipulated them, and yes, they are teenagers, but that doesn't give them the right to treat me like that. Being a teenager doesn't mean you have the right to be disrespected and threatened. I have always been supportive of them. My feelings are important too. I am considering divorce not only because of the children's behavior, but because my husband has not been supportive. If he can't help me in a difficult situation, why should I stay? Disrespect and threats are not normal teenage behavior. I need time for myself. I don't want an apology just because their mother disappeared again. I want a sincere apology, and I don't believe anyone can be genuinely sorry just 2 days after their mother disappeared. I would never leave them, however, I need time to myself as my feelings have been left unaddressed. Yes, I am an adult, but I also have feelings of resentment, and I need time to take care of myself. I never demanded them to be perfect, nor did I expect them to have impeccable behavior or maturity. However, I am also allowed to feel resentment and take time for myself in this situation. They have feelings, and so do I. I love them very much. They are my children. But the situation is complicated. It's not a matter of resentment that I've been called a witch. I've been called worse. I am a woman, and at the end of the day, it hurts to realize that my husband has not supported me in this situation. It hurts to realize that those I love, who I care deeply about, and who I would never hurt are saying these things to me. I don't deserve to be harmed, especially when it's by people I love. The biological mother realized she had achieved her goal and disappeared again. If your husband had taken an active parenting role, perhaps he wouldn't have faced the prospect of a second divorce and would not have remained a single parent. It struck me when your husband said nothing to his children, who insulted and berated their stepmother, calling her horrible words. When she turned to her husband for support, all he said was that she shouldn't have canceled the trip. This husband has shown himself to be spineless. I am willing to give some leniency to the children as they were clearly manipulated by their thoughtless birth mother. However, they are old enough to know that this behavior is unacceptable, especially to a stepmother who obviously loved and cared for them for many years. I wonder if he would have turned to his grandmother for help if the stepmother hadn't stopped doing all the hard work and they started asking the mother to resume her duties. But being a mom suddenly stopped being fun and she backed off again. You weren't wrong to walk away when the disrespect started. Your husband should have gotten more active. Now I want to tell a different story. I'm a teenage girl. Last week my older brother turned 18 years old. He goes to college, which is a few hours away from our house. On this day, my mom and dad and I decided to visit him. We wanted to give him gifts. I even knitted a Pikachu toy for him. We didn't discuss in advance where we were going to have dinner. If I had known, I probably would have done things differently. When we arrived, my dad repeatedly suggested that my brother visit Hooters restaurant. I have to admit, this suggestion made me feel extremely uncomfortable. For those not in the know, Hooters is a well-known restaurant chain. The specialty of this place is the emphasis on waitresses who wear white shirts and short orange shorts. I felt very uncomfortable and ill at ease. I suggested that they go inside. I soon noticed that there was a bookstore not far away, about a 5-minute walk. Offered them the option for me to go there. My father got angry and started yelling at me. He said that if I had a problem, I could just get in the car. I agreed and said I would just sit there. He grabbed my phone and yelled that I didn't need it. I agreed. They went inside and 20 minutes later, my mom came out and asked me to come inside with them. I refused, saying I didn't want to go in there after they dropped my brother off. My dad yelled at me again for my actions. I quietly hoped my mom would understand, but when we got home she told me that I should have just walked in since it wasn't a big deal. I countered that I was very uncomfortable going with my father and brother to a restaurant where all they did was stare at women. My mom replied that sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do. I understood what she was saying, but I thought it applied more to things like having to do homework or babysitting my mom's friends' kids. Edited. My brother's birthday dinner went on without me, but that didn't ruin the celebration. It was important for them to go inside and enjoy the evening. My brother received gifts and money. My father and brother discussed the attractive waitresses, saying how great it would be to see them together on the way back to my brother's school. The evening went on and my absence had no effect on the mood. You're not an idiot, You really made an impression with your bold behavior. You know how to stand up for your values and you don't agree with misogyny and objectification of women. Even under the pressure of your parents, you have maintained incredible maturity and fortitude. Girls like you have the power to change the world. I fully support you and applaud this young lady. Even your mom, being a woman, didn't support you. You stood by your opinion, and that's impressive. I'm sorry, dear, but your parents are wrong. That's a strange message your mom is sending you. I wonder how she feels seeing her own husband paying attention to young, half-naked women. She seems to have convinced herself that it's normal, and now she's trying to convince you of that. If anyone should have been on your side, it's your mom. A father who constantly yells at his young teenage daughter for not wanting to go somewhere she doesn't want to go is showing a lack of understanding. This is a clear lapse in parenting. My next story. My wife of 28 years and I, a man of 29 years, have been married for the past 4 years. We recently had 2 sons born to us. After the children were born, my wife started talking more often about how hard her job is and how many tasks she has to do after business hours. I work about 50 to 60 hours a week, whereas her work week is 40 hours. I try to take on more household chores, especially on weekends. However, we are facing a challenge. Most of our family budget goes to daycare. This takes 70 to 80% of her monthly income. Although I earn enough to keep us in the same financial position, even if she decides to quit her job, the situation becomes more complicated. Lately, seeing her discontent, I have suggested that she quit her job and devote herself fully to caring for our sons, as she claims that her social work is similar to what she does at home. I am trying not to belittle her hard work, but to focus on solving the problem. Despite my attempts to discuss the possibility of termination, she continues to express dissatisfaction with her current job, which makes me question the appropriateness of my actions. In addition, she has expressed a desire to change her field and move into digital marketing, which brings additional nuance to our discussion. She doesn't see her future in social work, and I wonder why she doesn't want to jump right into something new. You don't seem to be considering the difficulties your wife may face if she decides to stay home with the kids and try to return to work in the future. Wouldn't it be worth discussing with her the possibility of a prenuptial agreement that would guarantee her the right to half of your assets and provide her with regular payments? This could help her feel more independent and secure in her future. After all, by suggesting that she leave her job, you are asking her to give up her personal autonomy and rely solely on you. It would be wise to ask her for her opinion on the proposed situation. This would be fair, given that she may want to return to her career once the children are older. Giving up work for an extended period of time, perhaps around 15 years, could seriously affect her career prospects and access to benefits such as health insurance. The fact that her job brings her more than just a paycheck cannot be ignored. If she feels overwhelmed at her current job and is interested in a career change, it may be a good chance for her to develop in a new direction. It's important to recognize that in addition to her primary job of 40 hours a week, she also devotes a lot of time to taking care of her home and children, which is also a significant job. With all these aspects in mind, you should consider how your words and suggestions are perceived by her. Denying her contributions and difficulties can be misunderstood and affect your relationship, a story that really surprised me. I'm 26 years old, I'm a woman. 3 weeks ago, I gave birth to my firstborn. The name I chose for my daughter did not find favor with my family. My parents, brothers and sisters insisted on the names Agatha or Agnes. These names continue a family tradition where the older and younger daughters pass on the initials of their names to the next generation. Since my name also begins with the letter A, my family expected me to follow suit. My older sister honored this tradition, as did my mother's older and younger sisters. My cousins also followed it. However, my husband and I decided to move away from this custom and did not want to give our daughter a classic name. While still pregnant, we chose the name Indy for her. I repeatedly told the family that I would not use the names Agatha or Agnes. When our daughter was born, the family came to the hospital and were shocked by our choice. They expressed their opinion about the strangeness of the name and how I had broken tradition. My husband asked them to leave if they couldn't contain their comments. They apologized and I thought it was sincere. They came to our house with gifts, but among them I found things with the name Agatha on them. When I asked, they said that name would have been the best choice. My mom couldn't understand why I chose such a horrible name like Indy. She thought my husband and most of my friends gave a bad example with their names and convinced me to stick to the classics. She also said they would never accept the name Indy in the family. I wrapped all the gifts and returned them to my family. Before doing so, I asked them to leave, telling them that insults about my daughter's name would no longer be tolerated. My husband and I insisted on our choice of name, and my slow recovery from surgery did not affect our resolve. My husband's concern was that they would actually go away. My family members were upset with my reaction. They chided me for not discussing the baby's name openly and in advance. They felt I was punishing them for their concern for my daughter. You're not an idiot. How can you buy a personalized baby gift with the wrong name? No one in history has ever changed a baby's name just because grandma bought a blanket. It's not their baby. The name decision is up to you and your husband. They seem more interested in preserving tradition than the baby itself. Your mother prefers Agatha and Agnes and dares to criticize your choice. You could name your newborn like a character from the 1800s. After all, it's your baby, your choice. When Indy gets older, if she doesn't like her name, she can always change it. The family should have no say in the matter.